All right, guys, we are back with another great episode of Basscast Radio. I am Brian, your host, and Geek is out on the water. So make sure you check out another great video from Geek coming really soon. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Man, what a weekend it was for our kayak anglers. I want to thank, we had 18 different anglers come out and fish with us, male and female. So thank you for that. I want to thank Journey Outdoors. I got the hat on tonight, guys, for hooking us up. They brought us food, all that great stuff. And I want to thank everyone for coming back and hanging out with us. Congratulations to Troy Wines for winning the event. He also had Lunker for the event. So congratulations to him as well. And again, like I said, everybody fished. It was crazy. The day was like beautiful until about I left here about 1:30. So about 2:30 heading over the mountain, the skies just opened up. I mean, it went crazy. River levels rose. A lot of stuff was happening. But the good thing about it was a lot of our anglers were getting off the water by 3 or 2 or 3, something like that. They had to be off anyway for the most part. So everyone was off. Everyone was safe. And that's the main thing. We appreciate everyone that fished with us, on the Maury and James River. So thank you. And thank you for Journey Outdoors sponsoring the Basscast Kayak Series. There's still more events left, guys and gals. So if you'd like to fish with us, head on over to thebasscast.com and click on Kayak Series, Kayak News. It's all right there and all the information that you need to know to fish with us. Or you can follow us on Facebook at the Basscast Kayak Series and on Instagram. So great weekend there. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations to everyone. We had James River event, a BFL. 4th of July is coming up next week. Just to let you guys know, there will be no podcast next week. I'm taking the complete week off. It's usually my vacation week anyway, but this year is going to be a little different around here. We're going to do some painting because there's a lot of work that needs to be done around this house, and there'll be a paintbrush or a spray can or something pouring out paint. Hopefully not on the ground because I'm pretty good at that. But something spraying paint next week. So I hope you guys all enjoy your 4th of July celebrations. Whatever you end up doing, as always, please be safe. If you float in a river, always, like I said, be safe. Wear your life jacket the whole entire time. Because around here, guys, we always have someone. Every year fall out, hit their head, something major happens. So please be safe. And as always, have your life jacket on. Guys, tonight we have Brandon Cobb. Cobb, you guys all know he's a fan favorite of the website, Facebook, Instagram, and Basscast Radio. We've had him on many times, and he's got a Basscast Radio sticker on his boat. So we really appreciate that as well. But Brandon's currently sitting in second place in AOY. He's having one of the best seasons he's ever freaking had. Guys, we'll break down it. His worst was that 91st on the Sabine River. But other than that, we're talking about a 7th, a 4th, a 6th, 8th, 20th, and a 3rd kicking off in Okeechobee, a place where, we brought it up earlier in an earlier podcast with him that he had done well, but not that well. That, this season just kicked off for him. So, Brandon Cobb, everyone. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Brandon Cobb. What's up, brother? Appreciate you coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me on. I'm just enjoying a little time at home. It's kind of rare to get mid-season a long time off. And that's kind of what we had these last few weeks. It's been a pretty big break, and it's going to be a longer break, but do have ICAST and things mixed in there too. So
that's true. But yeah, for those who aren't going to ICAST, which everybody pretty much is, about a month off. That's been pretty daggone nice. Over a month off, to be honest.
Yeah, it's been longer than a month because I think got one more week off. Then we got ICAST, and then I'm teaching some high school seminars in North Carolina for a week, and then 1 week, and then we go to St. Clair. So still 3 weeks or so to go.
How's that been mentally for the second place angler of the year right now?
I always like having a little time off. Like a lot of times, I love fishing the Elite Series. I love traveling fishing, but like obviously I love to fish our lakes around here. And I don't
Yeah.
get to do that much in the time of the year I want to anyway. Like obviously in the fall I fish them a lot, but I don't get to fish a lot in the summer and late spring around here, like which is one of my favorite times of the year to fish. So we've had some kind of crappy weather, but other than that, I like having a little time here to get back to, because when you only fish tournaments or when you're traveling like that, it's like practice, you don't get to catch that many. Then tournaments usually are not as easy as you think it's going to be after
Right, right,
practice. You know
right.
how that goes. So then you kind of feel like, man, I just want to go catch some fish. So it's kind of nice being around, get to go do that, and no pressure or anything to do it.
It's kind of like going to the river up here. If you have a bad day out on the lake, just take you something simple, head to the river, catch you a bunch of fish, you get the feeling again, and back on the road, and you're happy as crap, and you're ready to go again.
Yep, have fun because everybody knows practice for tournaments. I would rather us not have practice, but we got to practice because everybody else is practicing. So, so you got to be out there to do it. But I hate practice. Like I hate it because you find some fish. Like, man, this will be fun to catch them, but then you can't because you got the tournament coming up. So it's nice just to have fun fishing when you're not worried about the tournament.
that that would be a question of eliminating practice, or keeping, or not having practice at all and getting that week or two before the event to hit the water, and then after that just no practice period, and then you
Okay.
start on a Friday.
It'd be pretty cool. I would rather no practice, but our minimum like maybe a half a day to figure out your way around.
Right.
Not necessarily something like that. I don't know. It's free. The only problem is when you do have something like that, then all your semi-local fishermen, stuff like that, would have a drastic advantage, or people that have been there a lot to wherever you are, drastic advantage. But practice is overrated, and the best practice you have are the worst tournaments usually. So
Yes, and we have discussed that on the Basscast Radio many, many times. For I ain't gonna say 90, I say 75 to 80% of the time, when people have their worst practice, they end up settling down, putting a game plan together, and going out winning the tournament.
yeah, that's usually what happens. Well, I think you need to catch a few in practice, but if you have too good of a practice, you can't forget about. Very rarely does the same things work for multiple days unless you find something special.
Right.
And like if you had a pretty good practice, you can't you can't forget about it if it's not working the next day. And it kind of molds your whole day, or even molds if you have a good first day of practice. A lot of times it screws up the rest of your practice because you spend the rest of practice kind of, whether you're meant to or not, kind of doing the same type thing, or like, well, I'm gonna fish there, so let me look for stuff in this area.
Well,
So kind of.
you've had an amazing 2023 season so far. That
Mhm.
third place finish in Florida. I mean, that was like you felt
Yep.
like you won a whole, you won a World Series right there.
Yeah, no, that was fun. That was definitely a good one.
But what has been your your plan? Like you said, you don't like practice. So what has been your kind of plan this year to gain these top finishes you've been getting?
Well, I haven't done a lot differently, I guess, but
Okay.
like I guess one thing that's went well for me this year, I haven't had any good practices necessarily. Like not like really good where I knew exactly what to do, like had my
Right.
finger on top of them. But I had just enough bites and kind of trusted what I'd found. Like whether even if it was like, well, I've only caught like five, 5 or 6 all practice, but they're all doing this. I kind of trust like that type thing. And I've just trusted the little bit of information I've been given in practice, and it's worked out at pretty much every tournament except like actually the best practice I had this year was the Sabine, and guess what?
That was
Worst
your
tournament.
worst.
Yep. So that's
91st.
that's the way it that's the way it generally works out. But this year I haven't done anything different. It's just a lot of tournaments that fit my wheelhouse. I like to fish
Yeah.
shallow. I like to just. I mean, I can use the sonar and stuff like that. I'm not a bad offshore fisherman. I do it a lot around here because you have to around here. But
Hmm.
a lot of times a lake I don't know real well, I just like to fish shallow. And this season, you've been able to compete pretty much at every tournament shallow. I know a lot of them have won, with sonar, offshore, whatnot like that. But for the most part, it's been a shallow season so far.
That's pretty awesome right there. I mean, that always helps. I mean, who was it? We had someone that won it. What last? No, not Brandon Polnick won it last year. Year before that was long hair. Trying to think here,
Fighter,
real fighter,
fighter.
and
Yep,
it kind of lined up for him.
yep, that's right. He
It,
flipped, I
it,
think, at every tournament.
yeah, at every tournament, and he said that that a lot of the things that in the past, it just everything just kind of lined up for that schedule and for that year. where he
Hmm.
had a consistent enough finishes in all the events to where he ended up winning it all. So
Yep. Yep. And I had a really bad tournament, Sabine, but I had such a kind of unprecedented first four tournaments or five, however many it was, the first ones of the year, that Sabine was bad, but it kind of equals out to I'm still having a great year, but even though that was really bad. So it's I'm just happy to have had as good a start as I did, because it allowed me to have a stumble like I did at Sabine and still be in contention.
yeah. Guys, like I said earlier, he kicked off Lake Okeechobee on third. Lake Seminole, you had a 20th place. The Classic, you had an eighth place finish, which we know don't count. Lake Murray finished sixth. Santee Cooper, you finished fourth. Then Lake, you finished seventh.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, you've been in the money every single event. I mean, real money this year.
Yeah.
Not 10,000, but like real money.
Yeah, top tens. Yeah, it's been really good. Other than Sabine, but it allowed me to, I don't regret what I did at Sabine, because I thought I was doing the thing to win, and then it just didn't work out.
How is it mentally for the like I said, now you are trailing after that event. You're not trailing by a lot. I mean, guys, he's only trailing by 12 points.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, even with the point lead I had, basically you have to catch them up north to win AOY. You have to do well up there, because I mean we got three tournaments, and
Yeah,
I don't love fishing up north, but
we
actually,
know. We know.
I two out of the three I actually really like. It's
Okay.
Champlain's one of my favorite lakes in the entire country to fish, and St. Clair. It's been a really really long time since I've been there, but I don't hate St. Clair. I think the one thing is a lot of those other northern lakes, like Ontario and St. Lawrence, it's always I'm torn. Do I want to fish shallow or deep? And I kind of don't really, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't do one. I do a little bit of each and don't really figure either one out. Well, I think the reason I like St. Clair all right is because basically you fish deep. That's what you do. there's
Right.
no, there's
Right.
not much else to do. So that's I don't have I've liked it in the past. I mean, who knows how it'll go this year, but I've liked it in the past. And Champlain, I love Champlain because you can catch largemouth and smallmouth essentially doing the same thing. You're just
Right.
fishing for fish, not species specific. And the one tournament that I've never, just the lake or system that I've never figured out in all the times we've been, is the St. Lawrence River. It's always been, I think I did finish like 11th there one time, but I've always felt like I just haven't quite put my finger on, like usually when you go somewhere, you don't really want to have preconceived notions, but you have a pretty good idea of I think the fish will be doing this, or I've got these areas that, especially places you've been 4 or 5 times,
Right.
you're like, I like these areas. And St. Lawrence is just a place I've never really felt comfortable anywhere. So
Wow.
it's maybe this year will be the year.
You think the time of the year that we're going this year, like I said, it all fires back up in the end of the month.
Yeah.
Their fishing season just kicked in for a lot of the northern anglers.
Mm-hmm.
Spawn is still back in. It just, everything. We follow the spawn. We have this topic, a conversation at work all the time about, the elites and major league fishing. Everyone, we start here and we go here. I mean, we just follow it all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that time of the year that we are going to go this year will play more in your wheelhouse?
Um. Well, I think some of St. Clair, I don't think really changes regardless,
Okay.
because it just once they go deep, they're kind of
Right.
deep all year
Right.
until it's winter. But I think Champlain, we're a little later than I've usually been to Champlain. Actually, in
Okay.
August, I think it's been like June, July. The other times I've been, and I think Champlain, the grass will have a little time to grow up, so it'll make some of that shallow water fishing a little bit better. And Ontario and St. Lawrence River, I have no idea. I don't. I'm sure it'll be good because it always is, but I don't know. Don't know about the time of year if it'll change much there, because I think we've been in August quite a few times, St. Lawrence, if I remember right. But I'm not 100% sure.
So what's Kyle going to have to do, man, get back in the first, other than do really well? We know that, but like I said, the whole mental aspect of this thing is it, because Angler of the Year. I mean, everybody talks about it. I mean, more people want to win Angler of the Year than the Classic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you can't do anything different. Like Angler of the Year is one of those things. It takes so much to go right
Yeah.
throughout the year that, like, you can't play it safe, because if you play it safe, that just doesn't like that's not something you
Right.
do in fishing. If fishing was easy enough to where you'd be like, I'm gonna. People always say like, oh, I went for it, I took a chance, or I fished for the fish to win. I didn't go to the check fish. They're full of crap. Fishing's so difficult. By the time the tournament comes, you just go fish for a fish you think you might can catch. You're not like, well, I got 5 pounders, but they're risky. I'm gonna go fish for these fours instead. That's just like anybody's telling you
That's so
that's like
funny.
like basically by the time the tournament comes, like every pro I know, everybody I know that fishes, you're just going where you think you might catch something. So
Right.
you don't change your strategy for it. You just try to do as well as you can at every tournament, and that's just wherever you think you might get a check. And if that check turns into a win or top 5, that's even better. If it turns into a 50, it's like, well, I got a check at least.
When you dropped the second man, that thought that you first had after you figured out that you'd fall in one spot, even though it's only about a few points,
Mhm.
did you think about it, or you just said, hey, I know what I got to do, and this is the direction I need to go to get back on top?
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, I had a pretty big lead buffer, which I really wanted to have up north because I'm not that confident up there. And
Right.
it would be like, at some of the lakes I'm not anyway. And I was like, man, it'd be nice to go up north, with a buffer. So it's tough to lose that. But also, the good thing about going to second is I've been leading for like half the season, 3/4 of what we've had so far.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it. There's a lot of aggravation that kind of goes along with it. Like, I mean, you got a lot more interviews to do. But every night of practice, people are coming to the house to shoot like, interviews talking about the rest of the season or this tournament. And then you got a live camera on the first day of the tournament, which is not great usually. Like once you're catching them and you're in the top, you kind of know what to do. A camera is all good, but I don't love having a camera on the first day because number one, other anglers aren't allowed to look at it, but a lot of the
Right.
local pressure on the lake, they see what you're doing on the first day, which is not great because whether or not they intend to fish where you're fishing, they're like, oh, I watched live today. Cobb's catching them off docks and creeks or whatever. I'm going
Right.
fishing tomorrow, so I'm going to fish some docks and creeks. That might be something that I was intending to fish. So it adds a lot more challenges when you are leading. So I don't really regret, especially because I'm not super confident up north. I don't really regret not having a camera on the first day anyway. Maybe by the day 2, 3, and 4 I'll have them, but the first day's nice.
Now, Cobb, you're one of the most relaxed guys out there on the field. I mean, you really are. You're laid back as I've never seen Cobb mad in my whole entire life. I mean, even with the broken foot, trolling around the daggone Bassmaster Classic, where the heck we were at that time. I mean, I've never seen this dude mad whatsoever. But that whole thing right there. I mean, dude, it's gotta eat at you a little bit. Like I said, having that pressure on you and having, like you just said, all them interviews and the extra time and kind of taken away from fishing as well. I mean,
Mhm.
getting your gear together for the next event. How would something new for Cobb in it? Something you got to
Yeah,
deal with? I mean,
yeah. I mean, it is to extend. I mean, you always just being on the pro tour and being like, I guess more seasoned, been doing it for longer now. You kind of get used to it. But leading, I've never led angler of the year before, so it's definitely more that goes along with it. Just more eyes on you, like just
yeah.
more like people. I have spectators the first day of the tournament, which you usually don't have. Like just things change a little bit when you're up there, which is awesome. I mean, it's good. Publicity is always good, and it obviously means you're doing pretty well. But it does. I mean, it adds some things you normally don't have to think about.
So mentally here, 3 events left. Your confidence is good.
Yeah.
It's not the best, but it's good. We've been doing these things long enough, me and you. I kind of know that the North you hate for the most part
I
because
like
we're all
largemouth up north. You just can't usually compete with
right.
them.
Right. That's the problem there
Yeah.
because you need the
But
weight.
yeah, but you can get checked. Well, Champlain, for instance, I always fish for largemouth, and I usually
Right.
can do pretty well there. And I don't know, maybe Ontario you can. I don't do it, but usually you couldn't. From my experience, but I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think the one good thing is usually I'm like riding that edge of not usually, but going up north. If you're looking at you're in 20th or 30th in points, you're always thinking, well, I can't bomb. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you kind of like I don't know. I'm not gonna say you play it safe, like looking for fish in practice, but I'm just saying you it feels a little different when you're like, I don't know that I normally look for the like potential honey hole areas. I go fish the community hole areas where I know fish are and get caught, things like that. I don't go look for something off the wall, make long runs, things like that. Which
Yeah,
now, I mean, I'm high enough in points where it's like I just catch a couple fish at each of the next three. I'll still make the classics.
right. That's true.
We can, if I find some fish, 60, 80 miles away, we can make a run in this one, and the next three. So, and normally I don't like making long runs, but now we don't have a ton to lose.
Because the AOY is a nice, pretty check.
It is a pretty big check. And it's going to take, I mean, I know regardless, like even though with the points lead I had, you're going to have to average, a 15th to 20 something place finish throughout the season, which is going to take all top 20s or top 30s at least up north. So you're going to have to, even prior to my poor finish down there, you're still going to have top 20s, top 30s. You got to do good up there. It's not, yeah, you might not have to top 5 everyone, but you got to do pretty well.
What's been your biggest takeaway from the season so far, man?
I think the biggest thing that I've learned, it's not just this season. I mean, last season and just some of the, like, as I've been doing it longer and longer, I've learned to trust the little bit that I figure out in practice, regardless of how good or bad it may seem. If that makes sense. Like if I'm like, well, practice sucked, but I got this one little area I caught like 3 in. I mean, maybe I can catch something. Then I trust that more. That I'm not like, well, I didn't find nothing. I have no idea what to do. Like, what do I do? I'm like, well, I caught 3. I'll just go fish there, and we'll figure it out as it goes. And it usually works out. If you think you've got anything figured out, or an area or something like that, it usually works out okay. I think used to I wanted to find 20 pounds every day of practice, and that don't happen. Very rarely does that happen. So
Yeah, I was
this year.
that was my next question is about practice. Has that changed over the years? You say you hate practice, so we got to do it though.
Yeah.
Has that changed for you over the years that has helped you make a better angler, become a better angler and, a better angler?
Yeah, it has. And like, so I practice essentially like me and Shane LaHue share all our information in practice, right? And up to the last couple years, I mean, it helped a lot, but then also it can kind of hurt because a lot of times I would find just enough to like, I could probably do well doing this. But then Shane's like, well, I caught some doing this. And you start kind of like, should I just go do what he's doing? Or even though we're helping each other, which it does. I mean, it works out good now, but I finally, like the last couple of years, I've really got it figured out to where I can trust what I'm doing, but I still got his plan or vice versa to fall back on. So I think you a lot, not myself and a lot of anglers just want to have the fish found so much better than's even really possible in practice. like you just want to know, like, I'm gonna flip to that stump and catch one. It's never that distinct. And you just gotta trust what you find, even if it doesn't seem that great. It's probably better than you think it is, and that's what I've done this year.
You said Shane LaHue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you and Shane LaHue, kind of team up and kind of been working together this year at it. How important has it been for you? I guess it's almost like not. I ain't gonna say. How do I want to say this? You always say you want to team up with someone better than you or someone that that you can trust. How important has that been? You and Shane's work. I guess they talk about it in NASCAR. You got your crew chief, it's your main man. He puts the car together, gets everybody to do what they need to do, to go win the race. Shane's kind of like your little crew chief. You guys kind of play off each other a little bit there.
Well, and you know what? It helps the most. It's kind of funny. So thinking back over the past 5 years, we've been traveling, working together, fishing, practicing like for the last 7 years, probably. But in the last 5 years I can think of, I've literally told him every place I've like found in practice or that I think I'm gonna fish. He's told me every place he's gonna fish and like told me like, you come here. Other than like some ledge lakes and stuff, we'll just find a community school and start on it together on purpose because it's kind of nice to like, it doesn't hurt anything, or grass place like that. But other places like that, I think he's maybe fished the places that I've found once or twice, and vice versa, about the same. I've probably fished the places he's found once or twice. So it works out really good because, but what it helps you the most that I figured out, like maybe I feel like I had a bad practice, right? Like I'm like, man, I got nothing. I got this one row of docks I'm going to fish. That's the only good thing I feel like I might have found. Well, I feel like the pressure wise, it's nice knowing whether you do it or not. It's nice knowing another way you might can catch some. Whether it's something Shane helped me with, told me with. I think the same way for him. If I tell him like, hey, I think you can catch some fish fishing docks, well, it gives you a little confidence whether or not you've caught fish doing it, a backup plan confidence rather than just only. It takes a little pressure off yourself, and that's how it's helped this year or forever, really, for both of us.
Right. We've seen, in local tournaments, when it's a team tournament trail event and partner split and, go to other partners and, next thing you know, they're winning tournaments or, they're doing like a whole lot better than what they were with their older partner. What made you go towards Shane? I mean, what made this bond here come together where you guys started this sharing of information? Because, I mean, there's 40, 50, 60, 90 other anglers out there. I mean,
yeah. Well, so Shane, me and him started traveling together and didn't really, it started off just kind of like, rough, like, yeah, I caught 10 today, or, just typical, like get back to the house talking. But it worked into us kind of like, when one of us wasn't having a great practice, trying to point each other in different directions. And then it's always worked for so long that we tell each other, if I get a single bite, I'll tell him, like, I had one bite on this dock. But the reason we started traveling together initially is because we both started fishing the tour same year.
Okay.
And never failed. The first 2 years on the tour, every single tournament, almost at some point in the day, me and him would fish the same spot. Whether it was start on the same spot or end on the same spot, or we always end up around each other. We got to be friends and talking. I'm like, we should just travel together because we fished all the same stuff. And even in practice nowadays, it's actually hilarious. Sometimes, I remember one specific tournament. I don't even remember where it was. It was this year. I think it was Seminole. I called Shane. I said, man, I think there's some fish on these main lake docks. And I was like, I just shook one off that felt like a good one on this dock. He's like, that's funny. I just had 2 bites on main lake docks. And we're talking on the phone and we come around the corner and run into each other.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, geez, Shane, we are really not helping each other here. But it's funny because I like it though, because I know you kind of want to practice with somebody or talk to somebody that maybe fishes a little different. But if Shane does get some bites in an area or doing something, I know like we fish the same. So it's something that I'm comfortable doing, or it's always worked out well like that.
That's awesome. Cobb, man, appreciate you taking a little time out of your off season right here.
No problem.
And, appreciate you talking to us and being a part of the Basscast Radio and the basscast.com. Good luck. We'll all be rooting for you. Guys, don't forget, Lake St. Clair's, July 27th through 30th. And then it's Lake Champlain, August the 17th through the 20th. And then the 24th through the 27th, the final regular season event is on the St. Lawrence River. And so there's 3 more events left. Let's hope he gets the wins. And, AOY would love to have him, man. Be a big party. I'll drive to South Carolina if you win a damn thing.
We'll do it.
All right, guys. We'll be right back. All right, guys. We really appreciate Brandon for coming on and talking with us tonight. Great conversation there. Really cool about, we talked about AOY and we talked about teaming up with others and working well together. And, I've seen that here locally with different people swapping, different people that they fish with and how it helps their strengths better and helps make them a better fisherman. So, and then, you got a lot of people like, Maurice and his brother have been probably fishing together forever, but they're used to each other. So, I mean, they know how each other work and how, they get along. They're brothers, but that probably is worse. But I mean, yeah, what a great episode. Wishing him the best of luck. Hoping he wins that thing. That'd be awesome as crap. Like I said, if there's a party, I will definitely be there, and I will drive to South Carolina and hang out with all them because that's awesome. But guys, 3 more events left in the Bassmaster season. Thank you to everyone who's played fantasy fishing with us. I haven't talked about that much, but thank you guys. I think we have like 80 or 90 people playing fantasy fishing with us this year. So thank you. We always have a big group. Thank you to all our sponsors who have made it possible. And we appreciate you guys as always. So thank you for listening. Don't forget, like this podcast as always, share the podcast with one of your friends, and wherever you listen to your podcast on iHeartRadio, Apple, iTunes, that's Apple iTunes, and Apple Podcast, I apologize, and Google Podcast. But wherever you guys listen to it, make sure you just leave a little comment, whatever your opinion, your thoughts, we love to hear it, love to get your input, and we like the like buttons because that helps us move on up in the charts. So we really appreciate you guys listening. Have a great night, everyone. And again, like I said, we're going to take next week off. Then we'll be right back with another great episode of Basscast Radio. So have a great night, everyone. And we'll be talking to you guys soon.